This should be a fun one. This is where it all started for me. I think it's where it all started for Robert too. The Nintendo Entertainment System.
I have so much nostalgia for this console, and dude, this console still is amazing in 2022. Today we're gonna look at 10 games we are playing on the NES in 2022 in hopefully 10 minutes or less.
This is not a top 10. This console has been in my life since I was like 3 years old. First video game console I ever played. And there are some games, of course, your Punch-Outs, your Marios, 2, 3, the first one, Gradius, games that we played all the time growing up.
Now obviously this list could be super easy. This list could be filled with Marios, Castlevania, Dr. Mario, Punch, all these common, amazing top 10 games. But we didn't want to be easy and make a generic list that everyone has. Today we're going to do 10 games that we're playing that aren't those normal games, because we're still playing those. These are 10 games that we're playing right now that nobody really talks about.
The thing I love about the NES is there's still games I have not encountered. So what I would walk into the game room and play today versus what I would have done when I was 3, when I first started playing the NES, is vastly different.
So let's jump in.
First game on our list, awesome game we are playing in 2022. We actually just received, if you have seen the hunting video, we have sealed the deal on Power Blade 2. Taito game.
A holy grail for the collection. We've been playing this game for a while because we had it on a multi-cart. Feels so good to have it in physical now. The platforming is so good. This game is just badass.
It's kind of tough, but it should be. NES games are tough. NES hard, you ever heard of it? Power Blade 2 is awesome.
We're going to be working on a no death run. We're going to do videos on it now since we have it in the collection, but Power Blade 2, wow. Do you like pizza? Do you like Domino's pizza? Then you might like Noid.
I love Noid. I love the Noid. I've got a little action figure of him in the game room. It's a very nostalgic thing for me. And it's actually a pretty damn good game. I'm not going to say it's the best platformer on the NES. That would be very hard to do. It's probably not even a top 10 platformer on the NES, but I love it.
This is a weird game. It kind of reminds me of like the Chester Cheeto games, but better. Because those games are kind of sucky. It's just a platformer. It's tough. This game is tough, but it's really fun and I could not stop playing it.
Playing video games is the Noid. It's a Capcom game. And I don't know if you guys remember those Domino's pizza commercials, but it just all kind of comes full circle. The nostalgic blood courses through my veins when I'm playing Noid, dude.
A Noid hates hot quality pizza. He loves to make your hot pizza ice cold.
You want to talk about an underrated NES game that not enough people talk about? Most have heard of it, but I don't think a lot of people talk about how great Jackal is. A Konami game. Co-op, this game is incredible. I love it. You drive around in your little Jeeps, pew pew pew.
Run and gun, but your Jeeps, I always call them tanks. I know they're not tanks, they're Jeeps, but they're tanks to me, tanks in my heart. You shoot missiles, you can upgrade your tanks. We're going for a co-op no death run on this.
Good old Jackal. Love me some Jackal.
Jackal is so much fun. I love firing it up. The music's great. This game is just amazing.
Shooters, spaceship shooters, shmups. But you're a cowboy.
Do you like being a cowboy? Because you can be a cowboy in Gun.Smoke. Dude, this game, it's gonna seem stupid. It's gonna seem like it's not fun, but it's a game, once you start playing it, you can't stop.
Another Capcom game, and this game is so incredible. It's underrated. It's so fun to play. It is literally like a vertically scrolling spaceship shooter, but you're a cowboy. And I don't really know how else to describe it other than that. Might not even sound cool, but let me tell you something. It is really cool.
Your shots are controlled with the A and B button. You hit them both to shoot center. The controls are a little weird, but once you get it, it's fun. And this game is so weird, and I don't know why I like it so much, but I love it, and I can't stop playing Gun.Smoke. Shatterhand. This game is also a badass platformer. You know, kind of reminds me of other platformers, you know, Power Blade 2-esque style.
Is it Jailco? I don't know exactly how you say it, but I know it was developed by Natsume.
This was a grail we were looking for a while back. We got it.
This was kind of like the Power Blade 2 before Power Blade 2 for us. Picked this one up a few years back, but I love Shatterhand.
The cover is really freaking cool.
I can't tell if it's a good cover or a bad cover. I love the cover. It's got that guy in the, just like with like the 80s, looks like he cut his hair with a Flowbee, and he's like breaking through his fistas, and he's got the glasses on. I love Shatterhand. It's so fun, and it's another game it's got some difficult parts, but you can get through it.
This game is so freaking sweet, and platforms on the NES, guys, they're just great. I mean, some of them are dog shit, but this one is really good. Obviously, we could have thrown a bunch of all the
New to our collection in 2022, a game that I would have slept on. I would have thought this was not the G.I. Joe game to play on the NES, but G.I. Joe Real American Hero. I don't think I've ever played a game by Taxon.
I feel like this is kind of a hidden gem, dare I say, on the NES, because everyone thinks of like the Capcom G.I. Joe game. This is not the Capcom G.I. Joe game. This is by someone else. I don't remember who it's by, but this game is so sweet. The visuals are really cool. What's really cool about this game is you can build your team of 3 characters from the G.I. Joe roster, and you can switch them in between, in and out.
The boss fights are so fun in this, and you can play as the different characters, kind of maybe reminiscent of the Ninja Turtle games on the NES, where you can pause and switch characters and to preserve one's life, things like that. But anyway, G.I. Joe Real American Hero, that is getting a lot of time on our NES in 2022.
Hey, look at me. Now I'm a real American hero. G.I. Joe!
Heavy Barrel! You ever played Heavy Barrel? It's an arcade port to the NES, which they did a pretty damn good job. I mean, the whole thing is you're trying to build the gun, the Heavy Barrel, and it's like an ass kicker once you get it completed, and you only get to use it for a certain amount of time.
This is another one of those games that once I start playing, I can't stop. I'm like, no, let's just try one more time. Let's just keep going, dude. Especially co-op.
Another really fun game to play co-op, and this is a sleeper. I remember when we started the channel, I had remembered seeing this game back in the day, but I don't think I'd ever played it.
What makes this game unique, though, compared to like other shooters and stuff like that, is when you pick up guns, you have a limited amount of time. You like run out of bullets and then you go back to a pea shooter. So like in other shooters, you're used to spamming the shoot button. But in this, if you spam the shoot button, your good guns run out of ammo really quick, and then you're screwed. So you kind of have to relearn how to play shooters when you play this game. But this game is so much fun.
We actually both have a copy of Heavy Barrel because we love it so much. Awesome game. If you haven't played it, you should give it a go. And it's really not that expensive. I think you can get into that game for like $30.
This next game is so stupid, and I think it's pretty cheap, and I recommend it to everybody, and that's Kings of the Beach.
We like volleyball games, and the ones we usually talk about on the channel have chicks in it. Nothing better, though, than some sexy, scantily clad dudes playing volleyball in Kings of the Beach. An Ultra game, Konami, but this game is, even the menu system, when you were on the menu system, you were like, this game is going to be dog shit.
Kings of the Beach is so terrible, but it's so good. Like when you start off the menu, it's kind of confusing to get 2-player, and what's really cool about Kings of the Beach is it's up to 4 players. You can do 2v2, bust out the NES multi-tap. How often do you do that? Kings of the Beach, you can.
Once you get out there on the sand, though, this game really, really thrives. It does have a little bit of a learning curve. I feel like the timing when you first play it, it's a little wonky, but once you get it down, there's nothing more satisfying than playing this game 2-player and a little bump set spike. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
This game is really hard, though. The controls, the timing, but when you freaking get the timing right and you can spike them, you feel like a literal king of the beach.
I know there's other probably more popular volleyball games on the NES. This is the one we play. Love us, Kings of the Beach.
This next game, we talk about so much. This game is one of the best games on the NES.
The only game on this list that I've been playing a ton since I was a kid is Batman by Sunsoft. It's one of the best NES games. I think you'd see it on a lot of people's top 10s and things like that. Why do I still care to play it in 2022 is because we're working on a no-death run on it.
First off, soundtrack. One of the best soundtracks ever. Platforming, amazing. This game and Shatterhand remind me a lot of each other. They're both really good. But Batman just, I think, is a little bit better. The wall jumping mechanics are so perfect. The different gadgets and weapons and the level design. I could go on and on about Batman. You guys probably know Batman. It is incredible. incredible.
Everything about it just brings back nostalgia. Michael Keaton is the real Batman. Christian Bale can go whatever. But Michael Keaton's my Batman, and he's the Batman on the NES.
We're gonna take you down, Joker, so watch out.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker. And as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
From one caped crusader to another, we're going to finish off the list with a Capcom game, Darkwing Duck.
This is a new game to our collection in 2022. So cool. NES came out a long time ago, and we're still getting new games for it. Darkwing Duck is so much fun.
I don't know what it is about like that Disney cartoon era. It could have just been an age thing, but I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. And the show Darkwing Duck, and this game does not disappoint. It's I think it's built on the Mega Man engine. It's very similar to Mega Man. It's not as hard as Mega Man, I don't feel like, but there's some parts that'll bust you up.
It's kind of unique. It's a platformer, but there's all these different mechanics, and like there's a little bit of a learning curve at first. It's kind of hard. Darkwing Duck is another one of those games I fire it in, and I'm like, no, I can get a little bit further. Let me just try one more time. It's so good, and dude, the way Darkwing Duck looks, I just like his sprites, like. Such a sweet game.
I am the weirdo who sits next to you on the bus.
Honorable mentions. Games that were really close to making the list, but they just don't get played as much as the other games on the list. Blades of Steel. Love Blades of Steel. It's a game I've played throughout my life. It was a game I never owned, but it seemed like everybody I knew other than myself that had an NES had Blades of Steel. That was just a common game.
This game is so basic and so simple, but it's just so much fun because we love hockey versus mode. Last time we played this, though, I dominated, so I'm just going to always bring that up. It feels so good. Blades of Steel, it's a classic on the NES.
Castlevania 3. Not super new to our collection, but growing up as a kid, I played a ton of the original Castlevania, and then quite a bit of Castlevania 2, which was the weird one as a kid, right? Like, what do I do? Where do I go? Castlevania 3 kind of returned to the form of the first one.
I played a ton of the first one. I'm still playing a ton of the first one, but 3 is like newer to me. I didn't play that a lot. So it's fun to jump into 3. I'm not playing as much as these other 10, though, so that's why it's an honorable mention.
Scat. We posted a No Death run on the channel of Scat, so that's why it didn't make it. Had this video been shot like 3-4 months ago, Scat would have been in the list. It would have made it, but now it's just an honorable mention because been there, done that, Scat.
There's areas in this game. I don't know how he did it. It's going so fast, you can't even see what you're doing. I'm not as good at this game as he is, but Scat is badass. Check it out if you haven't.
Bucky O'Hare. This game is just a game we haven't played as much as we probably should have. It's new to our collection. It was a gem we added to the collection in 2022.
This is a great platformer. It's so cool. I will say what's frustrating about Bucky O'Hare is when you start it up. There's all this story you have to go through, and you can't skip it, and I get it. They're setting the scene and all this stuff, but sometimes on an NES game, I just want to put it in and start immediately. I don't care about your backstory, Bucky O'Hare, so get out of my life. No, just kidding. It's a great game. It's cool. You can select different levels, and it's a great game.
I didn't want to go through all the games that could be honorable mentions. I mean, I beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out like every other week. The first Mario Brothers I play all the time. You know, I know Robert plays the shit out of Dr. Mario. So many games that we play all the time, but we've been playing them all the time. And so this is kind of the new stuff that we're really grinding on the NES. So, I don't know, in the comments, do you want to tell us what you're playing on the NES?
That was 10 NES games plus some honorable mentions that we're playing in 2022. And hopefully under 10 minutes. Did we do it? I hope so.
And I tell you what, if you're one of those people, because there's people that have actually said this in our channel, that the NES doesn't really have any good games, you're an idiot. And then if you're also one of those people that's going to leave a comment that says the Sega Master System is better than the NES, bye.